Hello, world.
What up?
We can't hear you, Matt. I think.
Now we know. I
there
don't know
you
why.
go.
Helps
There
if you
you
turn
go.
on the microphone. It's been a little while.
So we're here to make fun of people. I think. I don't know. I really just. I'm a little bored. It's not going on anymore, and just kind of wanted to talk shit about the other teams in the AFC North for a minute. Kind of stir the pot.
Let's have some fun.
How would you like to be a Cleveland Browns fan knowing that the prior record for a cap hit for a quarterback in the NFL is $38 million, and your quarterback is now $54 million? 50% increase. But I think you've single-handedly screwed over Baltimore and Lamar because Lamar keeps pointing to that contract.
I don't blame him, though. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him, but I think Deshaun Watson and the Browns ended Baltimore.
They did.
While ending
Through an act of
themselves.
stupidity.
What is themselves and the Ravens all in one shot.
That's called a homicide, suicide, homicide. Take yourself out and take someone else out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Great. Greg, I got dinner here.
You know, do you think they'll come to an agreement? Do you think they'll trade him? Honest, get me.
Baltimore.
Well, they have to tag him to trade him.
Yeah, they have to tag him to trade him because I think he's considered a restricted free agent. I could be wrong. I haven't looked that close at it. But there's a couple other hoops they got to jump through if they really, really, really are wanting to trade him, and that gets really hard. And the team that's going to want to trade him, he's going to want to do what a lot of other people do, and that's when they work out contracts ahead of time, which I don't think they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, he's on a limited time frame of trying to get into. Either way, he has to I forget who said it today. I saw it on Twitter somewhere, but one of the talking heads was like, he's got to learn a new offense regardless, and he's got limited time now to get a new playbook, figure it out, whether it's with the Ravens or whether it's a new team. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
I'm a little bitter because, Greg, I went back to Burger King to get more chicken nuggets.
Oh my God.
And I ordered 2 sets of chicken nuggets and that chicken Italian, which is the marinara one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got 3 small burgers.
How did they mess that up?
I was the only one in line. I think they just decided they were going to make what they want.
I guess so.
Are you going to go back and return him or no?
No, but I got to stand up and get barbecue sauce, and I'm not wearing pants. So give me a minute.
I hope that camera stays off.
We got some FCC violations if it don't.
Yeah, we'll have some major issues.
No kidding on that, man. So, Madman, how you doing, bro?
I've been good, man. Been good. Enjoying the weather today. It was a beautiful day.
Dude, I work outside 4 hours a week as a ground. Need to tell me that, man. It's been freaking awesome, man.
Probably felt like mid-May to you.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I was wearing shorts the last 2 days, man. And yesterday was even better for me, knowing I'm officially a season ticket holder.
Dude, I'm super pumped for you.
Dude, last couple of days were just so rough for me. I was telling Santori this. I'm like, Santori, if I have to hear you one more time say you got season tickets, just shut up and all that. And this guy I see who walks these dogs every day, he's got 2 collies and a beagle. I go up and start talking to him, and he's a season ticket holder himself. And he's like, hey, man, I didn't even know he was in section 347. And I'm like, hey, man.
307?
And
307 or 347?
What's that?
307 or 347?
347. What am I saying? Sorry, yeah. 347. And I'm thinking to myself, like I was about to pay $1,100 where he sits and all that. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be rough, but I can barely afford it. Then he's like, they have nothing there. He's like, but there's one seat up in 347 where it's like $715. I'm like, son of a bitch, give me that seat now and all that.
Yeah. And then he ended up being directly directly behind me 3 rows, which is awesome.
Yeah, dude, dude. What are the chances of that happening? I mean, seriously.
Hey, now we got to get James. He's on the waiting list, so
James
hopefully.
Here too, man.
The chances are roughly about 1 in 65,000 to be.
What do you think?
Exact. Just to be that.
Oh Lord, I know.
So I got Buffalo Trace on a BK burger. Second.
That's solid barbecue.
It's a great barbecue sauce.
Probably delicious. You and Greg are the only two I know that eat when you're on a podcast. That's okay, though.
Where is this unwritten rule?
I never said it was.
Everybody points that out, though. Everybody. Like, I've had like 10 people point it out to me.
You know, we drink on it, so I don't know why people can't eat. What's the big deal?
I'm just enjoying life. One pickle at a time.
Hey, it's okay. Hopefully they didn't pee in the jar.
There. Tastes great.
Yeah.
But let's get into Cleveland for a minute.
Let's.
Their cap situation's a little messed up right now.
They got some problems, and I don't think any of those players want to take a restructure. I wouldn't if I were them. You've been on a team that's perpetually lost for the last 18 to 20 years. Why would you want to restructure another false promise?
Here are your top restructure candidates. Deshaun Watson, which that's not happening. He just signed. Myles Garrett, who has $10 million guaranteed. He's got a base salary of 17. You could kick that down the can a little bit. He's got a prorated bonus of 11, so you'd have to restructure his salary to like 2, and you could kick 15 down the can somewhere else.
But that's going to really hit when Watson's hits again. So you're really going to just pick a year to cut everybody.
You could, not that they're going to do it, you could save about 20 mil if you cut Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
You could
they could restructure Ward, maybe, but he just signed last year.
Right. Wyatt Teller is another big hit that they could restructure. Nick Chubb, you know how I feel about running backs. Joel Bitonio. I mean, they're paying their offensive line so much money.
Time out, Centauri. You guys are in 307, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought 347, and I'm like, oh, crap, I'm on the other side. Okay, 307. We're good to go.
I made the mistake one time of sitting on the visitor side when it was the home opener, and you just roast.
Dude, it's a buddy of mine asked me, Greg, which side do I sit on? Sit on the Bengals side. Because if you're not wearing a pair of sunglasses, you're screwed. Now, I did sit on my brother's season ticket side one time. He has club seats on the visitor side. That's actually worth it because he's under the shade, so that doesn't matter. But dude,
club on the visitor side is fine, but if you're going to sit anywhere else on the visitor side, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're
if it's 80 plus, you're dying. You're scorched up there, and that concrete just holds heat, and it's even worse.
And you know, the thing of it is, I'll be honest with you guys, 158, I know that's where a lot of the fans are and all that, but to be honest with you, maybe I'm just naive saying this. As cool as the view is, I mean, like when on the other side of the field, I'm watching on the Jumbotron, I'm thinking to myself, I would be paying this much money to watch half the time on the Jumbotron where I could watch on TV. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Santori knows the seats. He sat there. He knows how they are. They're nice.
Yeah, I personally, I love everybody that sits down 158.
No, I love everybody sitting down.
Them, not bashing them, nothing. Maybe it's just from where I've watched film my whole life, and I'm just used to that over-the-top aerial view.
Yeah, no.
Even when I coached, I couldn't stand being on the sideline. I couldn't. I needed to be up high. I just prefer that view.
That's just me personally. All the people are cool there. Dale, Strawberry, that's awesome. But it's just watching a game from there can be difficult at times for me. That's all and all that, you know, whether it's either end zone.
I mean, they all have their perks and their minuses or your.
Well, the perk is you get to freaking high five all the players, and they might jump into your seat, and
that is
awesome. You're never going to get that in 307.
The only negative you get, is you got to sit there and watch when they're going away from you at a jumbo screen, or whatnot. So, and then in 307, like you get to see all the plays develop. You get to see everything going on. You're covered. If it rains, for the most part, if you sit higher like we do, because we're cheap.
Less weight at concession stands.
Yeah,
that doesn't really bother me. When I sat in the Great American Ballpark, first base side's cool, but like when I set up it like way up high, you get to see everything develop and all that too. So, but Reds games, they can kiss my ass. I ain't giving them a penny this year. But
see, I'm the exact opposite with baseball. I like being down low in baseball.
But no, it's still cool down there too. But don't get me wrong. But anyway, let's go back to Cleveland quickly. I'm sorry to change some stuff, but dude, Cleveland, man. I mean, I worked with
They've
the
done
Browns.
an excellent job in terms of most of their roster makes 3.5 or less. Give me a second here, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jesus. I mean, they're almost 40 players at $3 million or less, which is unheard of. The issue is like 40% of their team, 40% of their cap is controlled by like 5 players who just signed.
Myles Garrett, do you think they would ever consider trading him? I know that's a stupid question, but just with the cap money.
After this year,
you kind of have to.
My one buddy, he's a very realistic Browns fan, and I take a lot to what he says pretty seriously. And we both talked this week, and this is Stefanski's last year. If they don't make the playoffs, and if they, in my opinion, the only chance, and it's a bold, you could say it's a bold statement, their only chance of playoff is probably a wild card.
Yeah.
If they don't make the playoffs, he's gone, and then you're going to watch that entire team be sold off, except for Watson.
Dude, and the thing of it is now, I'm trying to think with the Browns. It was your brother. I remember I met your brother. I think it was your brother-in-law. Didn't you bring him with you to the Cleveland game, Matt? I was talking to your brother.
Yeah, Sam, my brother-in-law Sam. Yeah, Sam. Yeah, they're another realistic Browns fan.
No. But he was telling me that he was kind of criticizing Browns fans, how they criticize Myles Garrett. He says I remember him telling me this. Browns fans criticize Myles Garrett when be like, well, he doesn't get a sack at the right time. Well, if you guys are so unhappy with Myles Garrett, I'll take
off,
it.
What?
I don't think they don't understand that Myles Garrett is pretty much held every play.
Yeah.
He's double teamed almost every play.
You don't get to pick.
That's what your brother-in-law told me and all that.
I mean,
that's the equivalent of hating Barry Bonds because the home run might not have been at the right time.
Right, exactly. That's what I remember your brother-in-law.
Most Browns fans were, smart about anything related to football.
Here's the deal with sacks, okay? Right. And this is 100% true. They're not the most telltale sign of a defensive player. They're just not. Right. But there's never a bad time to sack a quarterback. There's
no, because he could fumble it every time. I mean, I don't understand why. That's a crazy.
There's never a bad time to push someone backward and run the clock.
Sorry, no.
Can we all agree that pressures are almost just as good as sacks at times, pretty much, and all that? I mean, like
what is
pressure? Yes, a pressure can be because it makes it makes a quarterback get pressure to throw the ball sooner than he wants to. Obviously,
yeah. Your brother-in-law told me that. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? He's like, your brother-in-law's like, no, I'm not, and all that. He says that's how. He literally was saying that's how ridiculous some of them are.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe that. That's the best, in my opinion. That's the best pass rusher in the league. I'll take him over T.J. Watt. That's the best pass rusher in the league, in my opinion.
And he's only got a couple years probably left, maybe 2 solid years, and they're going to get pissed away if you ask me. Same thing with Chubb. Chubb's pissing away his last 2 to 3 good years. Well, and then after that, I mean, Clowney's gone, so it'll be very interesting to see what the Browns are going to be like on that D-line now that they don't have – because Clowney's leaving. You have Myles Garrett. Outside of Myles Garrett, their D-line is shit.
You have no linebacker.
They don't have any inside pressure. That's why people ran all over them except for us. But for some reason, last year, the Browns really worried me. This year, I have no concerns whatsoever with the Browns. I'm not worried at all.
The one player for the Browns that just seems to give us issues and all that and stuff is Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's terrible against every other team, but he always gave us issues, except for the last game and all that. But Chubb was averaging like almost 100 yards a game against us, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we stopped Chubb finally that game. I couldn't believe it. We finally got the best.
Well, DJ Reader played. That helped.
That's true. That matters.
DJ Reader played, and they had more than enough time to figure out the film.
And Watson was absolutely garbage, so we knew they were going to run the ball most of the time.
Yeah. They got Amari Cooper. He's not a bad receiver. I'm like, that's your only target you're going to have is Amari Cooper. I mean, Njoku, up and down. He could never stay.
And they don't have cap to go get a wide receiver. There's no good really. The wide receiver class in this draft is not stacked, and you're going to be in a second round drafting. So getting another wide receiver probably, unless they get Njigma I probably said it wrong, from Ohio State, which I highly doubt will make it to them.
No.
They're not getting a wide receiver. They're going to be stuck with the same guys.
Yeah.
And their O-line, they're trying to get rid of what's Wills is going to be gone from the way it sounds.
Yeah.
The Browns might win 6 games.
But Will's cap hit is only 6. That's not going to save him much.
Oh, well, the Browns think he's just god awful. I was like, have you watched any of our line play?
Right.
And you're worried about Will's? Like, I think their defense is going to start to fall apart.
No. Do you think they'll get Jesse Bates? I keep hearing Jesse Bates could be linked to the.
They don't have the money.
With what money?
Oh.
They don't have the money. They have nothing. They're negative, or they're at like what?
There's $13.5 million over the cap right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to probably lose Newsome or their other safety.
And I can't imagine they have a whole lot of cash reserve after just dumping $230 million into a quarterback's lap last year.
And, hey, if Newsome comes out there, hey, would you take him? If he's cheap, I think he'll be cheap. Yeah, like
yes.
I would take him. I don't know what his price would be, but he'd love to probably play in the division and go against the Browns.
Well, speaking of basic, I'm trying to think. Their kicker, Cade York, he can't stay accurate at times. He's missed kicks and all that. So
I'll be right back.
The Browns, though, man, my biggest fear is seeing the Browns win a Super Bowl because Cleveland fans will never shut the hell up if that happens.
I mean, my biggest fear was the Cubs winning the World Series, and it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, Browns fans, all that. They're committed to their team. I give them that, but it's just like every year, this one Browns fan that I worked with, he thought Trent Richardson was going to be the best running back of all time. He already said Brandon Williams was a better quarterback than Andy Dalton was before he even threw a snap. Every day I had to put up with this guy saying they're going to be the best team ever. They're going to be the best team ever. But dude, I mean, you're living in a fantasy, bro. I'm sorry.
I mean, we kind of are too. I mean, we're at the end of the day, how much more success have the Bengals had than the Browns?
A lot more, right?
Not really. Neither of them have a ring. Well, you got two teams in last place fighting with each other. Come on.
Yeah, but the Ravens, after that Super Bowl?
No. I'm talking about current Browns. They got nothing. Current Browns have nothing. Current Bengals have nothing.
Oh, you mean ring-wise? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we got nothing. That's the right?
Okay.
That's the point of the playing, right?
You need to calm down, Santori. They made the playoffs twice since the year 2000. We've made the playoffs at least 7 or 8 times, I believe, since the year 2000. You can't compare us to the Browns like that.
Greg, making the playoffs is not a benchmark. That's what you're supposed to do.
All right, I understand.
You've only done it half the time.
But you cannot.
You're a C student. They're a D+ student. It's like 3rd and 4th place fighting over each other. Come on.
Yeah, okay, but what has Baltimore done ever since they won the Super Bowl back in 2011 or 12 or whatever?
No, they still got the ring. They've got 2 of them. We don't.
Yeah, I know. No, I know, buddy. I know, and I got to hear that from him and all that and stuff. Believe me, man. Pat Mahomes, man, I did not want to see. I like Pat
Steelers fans are saying the same thing about us. Man, I hope they never win. They'll never shut up about it. You probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's got to be all fair. You got to criticize fairly.
Yeah, you got to be fair on either side and all that. It's like
if you're a Patriots fan and you're watching Browns and Bengals fans fight with each other over who's the better franchise, you fucking think that that's comical.
You're laughing your ass off right now, right?
Yeah, you'd have to. If you're a Patriots fan or a Packers fan or a Steelers fan watching the Browns and Bengals go, oh, we're the better team. It's like, you guys both kind of suck.
Well, no, so Santori, I never fought with Pittsburgh fans because they had a right to dance on us and all that. But Cleveland fans acted like they were up there with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I'm like, shut the hell up. You guys have done nothing the last 20 years or whatever. Well, we won championships for the Super Bowl. I'm like, that's your best argument?
I mean, they haven't won the division 15 plus years, so I don't care what they have to say.
That's what I'm saying. Like I say, I can't fight Steelers fans because they have a lot to talk about and all that.
They do. Steeler fans, you can't argue with them.
No, but Browns
on what they've done. I mean,
but Matt, the argument I make
sorry,
is Browns fans like to talk the same crap as Steelers fans. I'm like,
I know they're the preseason champs, man. Every year, they are the Super Bowl champs of the preseason every year.
Well, so that's like I said, no, and I there's some good people I know that are Browns fans. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, for sure.
But dude, I just have like two fan bases I hate of all time in sports: Browns fans and Cubs fans.
I've never had to deal with Cubs fans, but
Cubs fans are fucking awful.
Dude, they're awful. Every time I refuse to go to games with Cubs fans because they don't shut up. It's just ugh.
Yeah. I don't even want. I'm Reds. I'm so fed up with.
No, I don't blame. No, Matt. I don't blame you, man. Yeah,
I'm a diehard baseball fan, and I
do want to say one thing about the Reds. I want to take a small victory lap here because I am a bitter bitch, and I will take my victory laps. All off season, last year, and toward the end of last season, so like the last year and a half ish. I have been screaming for the Reds to stop playing Stevenson at catcher, and all I ever heard was, "You can't do that. Catcher's got to catch. Catcher's got to catch. Why are you doing that?" And then now David Bell comes out and goes, "Oh, he's going to catch like maybe 2 days a week, and then he's going to be first base DH and have an off day." And I'm like, I was told you can't do that.
Yeah,
that's how you extend the fucker's career. And they're like, "Oh, well, you're going to lose 300 batting average." No, you're not. You're going to put him at first base because you got to.
You're saving his legs. What the fuck are you talking
look
about?
Look at Buster Posey, right? Look
God, Jesus Christ.
Look what
I don't care what position's hitting 300. The bat is the bat. We'll find a spot for him to play.
Yeah.
If you can hit, we'll find a spot. We'll find a spot. Jesus.
Oh, it's all choked up, man.
Some of the logic that people throw out in sports just blow my mind. Like,
well,
they have DH.
Not a catch.
Take advantage of
it. Shit. Not if he can't
Him
move.
Catching doesn't have shit to do with hitting unless his legs are tired, and then it has
Stevenson can't catch if he didn't know how many baseballs are being thrown at him at one time from all those damn concussions.
Well, the thing of it is, when Gasoline said last year, "Where are you going to go?" I finally was talking crud to my.
That was it for me. That was it.
No, I was finally talking crud to a Reds fan I know who hates Mike Brown and all that and stuff. He's like, "Well, Greg, he was just speaking the truth." Then he's like, "Why is it that you backed up Mike Brown, but you're finally getting on the Reds?" I'm like, the Reds for years have gotten away with mediocrity, living by their past and all that and stuff. And like when the Bengals lose a playoff game, everybody said same old Bengals. But when the Reds did make the playoffs, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so excited for next year." I'm like, you're excited for mediocrity again next year because you live by the freaking Big Red Machine era? Get over it. That's long gone, man. That's what I can't stand anymore.
Well, and I will say when people said same old Bengals, Mike Brown, it was warranted. It was true.
There was,
but he's changed now.
But he's changed.
And look how quick from changing how quick we've turned it around. I mean, and I said it. I commented on either your guys's post or your show the other day, or it was Bengals and Brews. But I honestly believe the reason most people absolutely hate and they talk all this shit about Cincy and all this stuff is we're about to go from a small market team to a big market team.
Yeah. They don't,
and it might be happening this year officially. Like we're going to have 5 games in prime time at least, probably at least 3 at home. Yeah. And we're going to go big market now. And especially if you go back to the AFC Championship again, which I think is a good probability, injury obviously barring most of it, but it's killing them. Since he's always been the laughing stock in football and NFL, we're not supposed to be good. Now Mike Brown's changed and we're coming up. And if we turn into a big market team, it just pisses them off because they don't want it to be. They don't want us to be a big market team. And they're just gonna have to deal with it because we are. We're gonna be.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The thing I couldn't stand was they said Mike Brown didn't care about winning. He did care about winning, but he wanted to win with his own criteria. The problem is it wasn't working. But he did care about winning, though. That's what I do believe.
And his cheap ways are actually going to honestly carry over and benefit us because we're not going to be fucked like the Browns are. We're not going to be fucked like the Ravens are. We're not fucked like the Saints and other teams are with cap and their money. We are the only thing I like Santori and I have talked about. We're worried about. We don't know what the cash flow is. He's probably sitting on a shit ton of money. He just don't tell you. He's one of those guys that he wears the same damn thing over and over again. The dude's probably got 50 million buried in a trash can in his fucking backyard. Like, just that type of person. Like, I guarantee you, he's probably got so much money we don't even know what to do with.
But yeah, like I say, you know what? Funny, another great thing to compare is you can try comparing Elizabeth Black to Phil Castellini and all that. I mean, Elizabeth Blackburn graduated from Ivy League school, learned the salary cap and all that. She did not immediately work for the Bengals or anything. She's like, I want to learn this stuff.
She wanted to earn her way, and she clearly has.
Knocking out of the park. And Phil Castellini goes on live TV, telling all the fans just be willing to accept mediocrity. I'm like, seriously?
And they double down on
it. I think, and this probably plays a part into it that nobody ever really talks about. Outside of the Blackburn and Brown family, and maybe those very, very close to the Brown family, from about 1995 through 2020, was anybody a fan of Mike Brown? No. How many times growing up from ravaging Bengal fans, guys that were just pissed off, do you think Elizabeth heard shit like, I can't wait until something happens to your grandfather or he sells the team?
Mm-hmm.
She's probably bullied out of her fucking mind for that shit.
I couldn't imagine, but
yeah.
I mean, I was sitting there when we had the privilege of sitting next to her. I was like, that's why I got to apologize, because I was one of those people. And I'd said it, that I was like, this team's not going to be better until Mike Brown dies. I'd said that on the podcast before. And I feel like an asshole now.
And now we've scared her out, and she probably won't be sitting there.
It's all right. Whatever. But at the same time, it's like she had to deal with that shit her whole life. I mean, she's the same age as me, and I don't know how many times my friends and I said it growing up in school.
What? So have you guys seen the show Undercover Boss ever?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been that's literally what she did. She went undercover. She's like, look, we have to go out there, reach out to the fans and say this, this, and this. And that's what she did. That's how the Ring of Honor came. Besides Joe Burrow, I consider her like a huge savior to this organization. I really
like her sister and her mom, everybody.
Yeah.
The person that needs a ton of praise, and this is going to sound so bass-backward, is Mike, because Mike Brown made probably the single hardest decision that I guarantee you I couldn't have made, which is admit that it's not working and for me to turn it over to my kids and say, make this work.
Yes.
And sell the name of the stadium.
Oh,
that had to be
he does. He did, and I completely understand this. He did everything in the name of his father. I'm going to do this the way my dad wanted to. He didn't spend in free agency because his dad was vehemently against free agency. They didn't believe in doing that approach, and he was trying to win by his father, and he wanted to win it the right way. He wanted to win it his father's way, the way he watched his dad win all those championships in Cleveland. And at some point, I don't know what it was, the straw broke a camel's back somewhere, and he said, you guys take it and figure it out. And then, boom. The hardest decision and most important decision he ever had to make, he got right the first time, which is, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yes.
He deserves the most credit of anybody in this organization for delegating.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about that. The moment he stepped away, let Duke do his job, let Katie do her job, let Elizabeth do her job, let Troy do his job, let Paul II do his job, and say, here's the checkbook. I trust you guys. Back-to-back AFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance.
They've been knocking out.
You shouldn't have done that quick.
No.
But he also, for whatever it was, him knowing how to do it his dad's way, his kids knew how to do it the other way. I mean, it's a complete shift philosophically on the approach to build a football team, and it literally happened overnight. At some point, Katie, Troy, Elizabeth, Paul, whoever it was, finally convinced him, or he had a come to Jesus moment where I'm not doing this anymore, and these are the people in charge.
Yeah.
And it just took off. Mike Brown deserves the most credit on the planet for that, because in his position, I guarantee you I would not have been able to do that. I would have been so stubborn to say, I'm just going to make this work. This is the way we're doing it.
And I think fate has a lot. Has a lot to do with it. Honestly, like if you look at it, had not we had doing it Mike's way, in 2005, that was a Super Bowl team. Had Palmer not had his knee blown out, we probably go to the Super Bowl. We win. I would say we probably win the Super Bowl that year because the Steelers ended up going and winning. Had we gone and won the Super Bowl, we probably would be terrible right now because we'd be stuck because, hey, my way won it. We won the Super Bowl. And then there's things that have just luckily have gone our way. At the time, it probably had sucked ass, all that stuff. Losing in 15 was still under Mike's way.
Yeah.
Had, Dalton not tackled and broke his thumb. Having an MVP season, it's all worked out. We've had to suffer enough, and I think our day of getting a Super Bowl win is coming, and it's coming soon. I think within the next 1 to 3 years.
They're my pick this year.
Totally agree, Matt.
I will say this, and I don't think there's many Bengal fans that can say this. Every year I pick a team that I think is going to win the Super Bowl, and I've done that since 2003, and this is the first year I've ever picked the Bengals.
Did you pick Kansas City?
Last year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck you.
I picked Kansas City to beat us in the AFC Championship game last August.
I know. And we were, oh, God, we were so close.
I
Fuck.
think this coming year is the year. I just think that they've got, especially with the continuity. I was worried about it, but once I saw all the coaches were coming back, and I was kind of like, all right, I've been a part of it where a team's won a championship before, and it's that third and fourth year once everything really is clicking, and it just explodes. Sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle like Philly. I don't know if Philly can repeat it.
They're losing too many people, if you ask me, I think.
They could be, but I think
coaches and players.
If you're looking strictly at rosters and coaching staffs across the league, and you have to go off continuity and who's got the quarterbacks and who's got good coordinators, you've got two picks in the AFC, and it's Cincinnati and it's the Chiefs. I don't know what's going to happen with Buffalo. I think they're pretty damn good. I heard somebody kind of toss out the Chargers from like the early 2000s comp for them, where they just couldn't quite get there, where Marty Schottenheimer couldn't quite get them over the hump, and they had all those Phillip Rivers years, and they just could never make it. And I would hate that for Buffalo fans, especially since Buffalo fans and Bengal fans have this kinship now.
It'll be interesting to see what they do at running back.
Yeah, I do want to see the Bills win one.
I want to see us just do it first.
I mean, they say the same thing. That's why it's okay.
Yeah.
They want to see us win one, but we want to do it first. I think they're both going to get one at some point in the next 10 years. But if you have to look at which team has a top 5 quarterback, which team has a top 10 coach, you've got 2 answers right now, maybe 3 answers. Which team has all their coaches coming back? You're down to 1. I mean, it's –
if you look at Mahomes' first Super Bowl, they kept what? I'm pretty sure they kept all their coaches. Their issue was their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They still had Tyreek Hill. They still had Kelsey. They had I forget who the running back was at the time. Damian Williams, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost in the exact same position. We thought we fixed it last year. We just got screwed with injuries on the O-line at the very end.
I absolutely hate blaming injuries too. I just that's something I will never allow myself to do is blame injuries. But I'm going to make one caveat to that, and I know that it's going to sound convenient. When you lose an entire unit, okay. If they'd have had like, they're missing one receiver and one running back, and they were missing the tight end and a corner and a linebacker, that's different because you've still got all of those units firing at least at 80%.
And that was evident with our defense. Right. Because we did lose guys, we kept going.
But when you have a center on, and they never really talked about it too much, but Karras had a fucked up knee for that AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
He was on a brace and could barely stand. That was pure grit getting through that. So your center's at maybe half strength. your right guard's gone, your right tackle's gone, your left tackle is gone, and your left guard is a rookie, and God knows what banged up shit he went through his first year going through the AFC North. You didn't have a single competent, healthy, veteran offensive lineman in the game. When you have entire units that are decimated.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that in 2014 when our entire receiving core was down against Indy and fucking Rex Burkhead and Kobe Hamilton were going against the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect to win.
No. And you could, and it goes to show you what we have in our receivers, our coaches, and our quarterback, that we were tied, and it had to come down to some shoddy ass refereeing to keep the favorite of the NFL to get into the Super Bowl.
And
It's just, that's how good we. Now, if we would have this, I'm not going to say I'm not going to take away from our Super Bowl appearance. Now, if we would have had the same injury health going into this year like we did the Super Bowl year, we would have won in a landslide.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You look at the time the NFL, all the rules that went against us, the one that screwed us the most that comes to me is that Ravens game where, if the Ravens win, there's a 50-50 chance they get a first-round bye. And because of us having to play our starters, which shouldn't have been playing in the first place, we lose our best offensive lineman, Kappa, to an injury. When he shouldn't have been playing in the first place. That by far was the most asinine rule I've ever seen in my life, ever made up.
Yeah, and they were headhunting that game. I still say they were. I don't give a shit what they say.
Yeah, no,
they
absolutely.
were playing dirty as fuck. I don't care. And it worked. They took out Kappa.
There's quite a few people that held that sentiment. Some notable people who I can't name names that are prominent within the organization or fan base that are kind of like, that the game plan was we're not going to be able to beat them next week at full strength. So they kind of went the Kimo von Oelhoffen route and said, let's play them with their twos and tried to knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the first time we've seen something like that out of a Harbaugh team.
No, he's a piece of shit. I can't stand Harbaugh.
No.
You're eating fuck. Sorry, that's just me.
Well, look at Joe Mixon. The guy had Joe Mixon and it was like a WWE wrestling move.
Oh, I got a guy punch him in the balls. Punch him in the balls. It doesn't even get ejected. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But the Kansas City game, Burrow gets smashed to the ground. Clearly the ball's out of his hand. He gets smashed to the ground. Ref standing right there, and Burrow's looking at the ref like, are you serious? And the guy clearly did it intentionally on Burrow. And they didn't do it. They didn't make one damn call about it. I mean, no. I can point out so many. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man.
There you go. There was a. We could make a whole segment just talking about refereeing.
Oh, easily.
And it goes. I watched a lot of Browns games this year too because my brother-in-law, we watched football together, and I was like, God, the refereeing is terrible, and it always goes against a lot of the same teams. And it's funny that Kansas City is viewed as the fan base that bitches the most about refereeing, yet they seem to get every call their way. And we could go on and on about that. But, it comes down to Zach Taylor pissed off the NFL when he walked across the field and said, we're not playing. Mm-hmm. And we all know it. He pissed off. They can lie through their teeth. They already have about, well, we never made the call and told them they got 10 minutes to warm up. Bullshit. We watched Burrow go out there like a damn assassin, get warmed up. I saw it. Everybody in the stands saw it. They were all warmed up, ready to go. Zach walks across, ends the game. That was it. And it pissed off the NFL.
Listen, there's a reason that with the exception of a couple of very, very, very hard to find YouTube videos, that broadcast can't be found because you can watch the players warming up again right after that.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL has tried to eradicate whatever evidence of that game has ever existed.
Yep.
And they lied through their teeth about that. And I know what I saw. I know what almost 70,000 people saw on that field. You can't tell me that they weren't. I was like, they're warming up. I was sitting there telling my wife, I cannot believe they're going to play this game again. They're going to go out and play. I was like, the Bills, I mean, I don't know how they're going to play this, but the Bills ain't even going to go do anything. They're done. They don't want to. They don't care about this. They were already done, obviously, because we came out in the playoffs and showed them exactly what would have happened if we finished the game in Cincy, regardless if anything happened to Hamlin or not. We were dominating that game. But he pissed him off, and then it went from there. We got completely bent over the rest of the way out. That's all there was. And now he's got to hopefully save some grace, because next year it'll be against us again.
Yeah.
Because Roger doesn't forget. And then he goes and gets bear hugged by the Super Bowl champs and tells them, I don't care what you do to the quarterback.
That was a good look.
Well, yeah, but you can't make that up, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no favoritism.
No.
None at all.
Not here.
So this is interesting. We got a comment here. You lost your shit on people in 07 or 08 when Carson tore his elbow.
People don't forget.
Here's the deal with Carson, and I've said it on the show multiple times. Carson was my favorite player ever growing up. I mean, he was – I loved him.
Oh, I did too.
Just as much as I love Joe Burrow right now. And that's saying a lot, 'cause I thought he was going to be the guy. I gave him every damn excuse in the world.
Yeah.
Elbow hurt, knee. I was like, well, this keeps happening. And then he fucking quit on us, 2010, whatever that was. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Like,
when he quit on us, I lost my shit. I was so pissed with him.
To be honest, guys,
I know Chris gives me some shit, but I think I've got probably 25 Bengal jerseys over the course of everything I've bought over the years. I think I've got 4 or 5 Carson jerseys that I just shoved away.
I keep seeing game used Carson jerseys on eBay, and they're like under $1,000. I can get myself to buy one because I'm so stand them. And if you would have told me, before 2010, I could buy a game used Palmer jersey for under $1,000, I would have laughed and bought it immediately. And now I won't even touch it.
No, I wouldn't waste my time with that, man. But no, I was ready to let him walk back in the door because him and Chad were talking one time. They were interviewing Higgins and Burrow. I'm like, okay, Palmer's finally turned around. Then before Super Bowl, he's like, if I'm Joe Burrow, do I really want to stay here and all that and stuff? Do I really want to stay committed to this organization? I'm like, seriously, dude? You're still you're still going to be talking crap like that?
And we said it earlier, this is not the same organization that treated Carson the way that they did. It's not the same. I mean, it's the same people technically, but the philosophy and a lot of the people and the positions they're in have shifted. Mm-hmm. Duke has a lot more free will and ability to do what he wants. They didn't have an Elizabeth. They didn't have the social media team. They didn't have the media presence. They didn't have Katie really being able to do what she wanted. Katie really didn't step into the forefront until 2009, if you remember. It was like 2008 or 2009, whenever Andre Smith came in and they were on Hard Knocks the first time. And they made such a big fucking deal about how this is one of Katie's first contracts she's ever written with Andre Smith.
Right.
Katie didn't even get started until barely 10 years ago. It takes a front office executive so long to learn how this league works. Even if they've been here the whole life, the practice takes skill. You can't, so it's no surprise that, okay, she had 6 or 7 years of experience. Mike Brown lets over the experience and the reins to Katie, and then everything takes off. I mean, it's like she got to get her school of hard knocks, pardon the pun, and it was on TV when she did it. I mean, it's
my only gripe. I don't know what the issue is they're great at finding talent at fucking almost every position except O-line, and I don't understand what is going on with that.
I think I know the problem. Maybe I'll out the problem and we'll fix it right here on the show. Every year they draft 1 or 2 offensive linemen. And every year I hear the same thing, regardless of whoever it was that they drafted. Oh, well, Paul loves him or Willie loves him. I don't care. Paul Alexander's loved every offensive lineman that's walked through this door.
Yes.
Willie Anderson has loved every offensive lineman that's walked through this door. Those two are so much smarter than me. Their credentials are so much more than mine. But at the end of the day, every single one of these duds, Paul and Willie have loved.
Mm-hmm.
And and they've talked about it before, that they take the advice of Paul Alexander to this day, who they've had to fire, and they still talk to Willie Anderson. And I know Willie runs his recruiting, and Willie probably does a damn good job of it. But Willie was also in the corner of Jackson Carman. And here's the deal. And Willie knows Jackson Carman much better than I do. But at the end of the day, Jackson Carman's been in the league 2 years, right? That's 2022. He was playing high school ball when I was coaching high school ball. Okay? I had not once heard a good thing about Jackson Carman or his attitude. And then Willie loves him. And then he gets to the NFL, and all the stuff that I'm hearing about Jackson Carman is the same stuff that all the local coaches echoed when he was playing high school ball. It's like, so
I think the real killer too is like you look at who he drafted, and then you look at who we drafted, and then you look at the teams, the O-line they drafted after we drafted, and you sit there and go, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't know what the process
and
is.
I know it's a crapshoot and it's a lottery. We all don't know, but it's like something in our analytics going in with film and what we do with their scoring, it just ain't jiving like other teams. Like the Chiefs have hit, like the Ravens hit.
Yeah.
They draft solid O-line all the fucking time.
They do something that the Bengals have started to learn how to do. But it's like the Bengals have picked a couple positions to do it with instead of just understanding that athletes are athletes. I don't know how fluent you are with relative athletic score, the RAS scores that come out on Math Bombs, the RAS scores.
Yes.
Look at the Bengals' RAS scores on offensive line compared to everybody else. It's not good. They take a bunch of kind of undersized guys, one, and two, they take a bunch of guys that have a lot of red flags, whether it's health, age, size, arm length, athleticism, that every single guy they seem to take, there's something you can look at and go, "Ooh, I don't like that." And I guarantee you they have something that they use in the NFL for measuring athleticism. I'm sure that they've got some kind of percentage. Everybody's got some kind of software. But, the stuff like the RAS scores, especially for us little people, if we want to say that, they don't miss too often. And when fans can look back and go, well, he was a poor athlete based on every single metric that's ever tested, why did you do that?
It's like that's the one thing left over from Mike Brown's old days of stuff that they're using, and they can't get off of it.
They trust – I think they trust Willie and Paul too much.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason Paul Alexander got fired from Dallas in the middle of the season pretty much, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, I'm sorry. Why not listen to Frank Pollock, who's coaching the damn team and they're coaching the damn line?
I think things are changing now. I mean, when have we ever been the first team to sign a player in free agency?
Well, that, and if you look at the three guys that they did sign, whether Collins worked or not is beyond the point.
It was a 50-50.
Right. Ted Karras, highly intelligent, moderately athletic, but a long track record of success with some very, very good quarterbacks. The Bengals don't go for those kind of guys normally. That means money has to be.
And I honestly, knock on wood, never seen a bad snap.
Mm-hmm. Karras, big mauling guy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Karras first. You said Kappa.
Or Kappa, big mauling guy.
Yeah.
Collins, big mauling guy.
Yeah.
Olsen, big ass guy. Jonah doesn't really fit the mold for what they've been going after.
His arm length is not good.
Yeah.
The guys that they've been going after handle bull rushes well. They do. They handle that straight pushback. They don't handle the speed too well, but they handle the strength up front. Jonah's not really done well with anything.
He doesn't do well at all with athletic defensive ends like a Myles Garrett.
No.
I mean, it's Myles Garrett. That's a terrible comparison. But when he's gone against anybody that's athletic, they eat him alive.
It wouldn't surprise me over the next year and a half if the problem's kind of gone, because I think that they've really shifted in what they look for in the offensive line, and that's the other thing. Like we said, they've tended to trust Willie and Paul with offensive line stuff, but then when you let Frank go get his guys in free agency, because I guarantee you he had a say.
And I think he's going to have a say again this year.
It's vastly different than what we're used to going after to go get. So it wouldn't surprise me even if it's a stopgap guy, that they're just a big nasty, because that's what they go after now.
I think they have realized Joe Burrow is him, and we have to protect him. We cannot have we had another Palmer incident. And Burrow has come back and been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And fuck, if we don't have the appendectomy, we honestly probably get the 1 seed. Straight up. We would have fucking beat Pittsburgh. We would have beat Dallas.
Yep.
We would have had the 1 seed. Had not he had the appendectomy.
Right.
You know, I pray that we have a normal, for the love of God, freaking off-season and camp and nothing happens, that we can go into week 1 and Burrow's ready to roll and our O-line can roll, like, you know, but they know what they have and they're not stupid. And it was evident last year, and when they were the first almost 2 signings of free agency.
Yeah, I mean, they signed 3 starting offensive linemen, you know, pretty efficiently. You know, 1 didn't work out, but hey, 2 out of 3 is a much better success rate than they've been having.
I think we go and get a right tackle in free agency, and that's probably all you're going to see. People are going to want us to go batshit crazy nuts. We have to sign contracts. I would prefer only Burrow to be signed and T next year, but T's not going to be cheap just because of his agent. I can't stand his damn agent with a passion. But I think we get a right tackle, whether it's I think value to worth. The Raiders right tackle might be the best one for us to go get. And then maybe you snag a, you know, nice corner like the Eagles corner later on, because we have the money and we announced Burrow's contract.
I don't want to do that just because of the voodoo of the Super Bowl the way they did.
Yeah. Matt, honestly, we could keep Apple again. Why not throw Apple another 1 year, $2 million deal? He'll probably take it because not many other teams are going to give a shit about Apple. He's not well liked around the league. Since he likes him, he likes Cincy. He'll probably stay for their 1 year, $2 to $3 million contract. That's cheap.
Are you referring to Bradbury, the guy for the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you could throw that out there. Like, that'd be nice. Well,
Matt, there's a story. There's a connection to that because I believe Lou Anarumo coached him with the Giants, and he fits his system well. So that's another thing to look at right there.
You never know. You just don't know. But I think you're going to see the Bengals probably take a right tackle in the first day or two, and then it's going to go cold. And every fan on Twitter is going to lose their shit when everybody's going off the board. You're going to see crazy-ass freaking contracts go out for people, and it's going to be nuts. And what I've learned – and I'll be the first to admit, when we went and we lost Lawson, we got rid of William Jackson. I lost my shit. I was losing it left and right. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Matt, I was that way too. Bengals Twitter was going off like crazy, man. That
and
night.
I ate crow because we got Awuzie, we got Apple, we got who else? We had Bell. We brought in Hendrickson, and then we go to the Super Bowl. I don't say shit anymore on what they do in free agency. I'm not going to complain.
Well, no, Hendrickson, remember, like, everybody's like, Hendrickson had 13 sacks. I'm like, did you watch his tape? He had the sacks because he had a great defensive line. I thought Hendrickson was a panic signing after we lost Lawson. I'll be the first to tell you I was not for the signing at first. But after that, it's one of those, it's like me with Lou Anarumo. I'm shutting the hell up. They can punch me in the gut right now for all
it was funny. because I don't pay attention to the NFC. So probably 80% of the players in the NFC,
I didn't know who he was either. Yeah.
And it said Bengals sign Edge Trey Hendrickson, and then it said like 48 million. I was like, who the fuck is that?
I didn't know who he was, and then I see everybody saying, "Well, he got 13 sacks, but it was only because they were basically complimentary sacks, like saying like, oh, you know, like because of Myles Garrett, Clowney got these sacks." And I was like, "Well, this fucking sucks." Like, then I was like, "Holy shit!"
When after they signed him, I watched him. I was like, I mean, maybe like it's. I get that he's young, and he's had some injury, but this guy's like pure fucking hustle everywhere.
He doesn't look like you look at Trey and you go, "That guy's not gonna be a wrecking ball." He doesn't. I mean, Sam Hubbard looks more like a wrecking ball standing there than Trey does, and Trey just blows guys up.
No, he does.
Left and right.
Bouzier, do you guys imagine if Bouzier was on a 1-year contract the year he had? He could.
What are you talking about, man? Where we are trading T to Washington? I would be shocked.
Stop it!
Unless a team wants to throw out 2 first picks, I don't see.
I will trade T for Washington. I need the entire city. That's where we're at.
Yeah. But I got to get going. I'll let you two keep it going. I got to get these help with the baby. So it's been fun tonight. I enjoyed it.
Hey, take care, buddy.
You guys have fun.
Will do, buddy.
Love you. I'll see you later. Bye. Oh.
Yeah, man. But no. Like I say, man, if Santori, I can't even watch NFL Live anymore because all the negativity. I just can't. I can't watch any of that stuff, man.
It's too much, man.
I used to watch it all the time, man, but it's just like same stuff every day. Even Good Morning Football. Ever since Kate Adams left, I figured they're now anti-Bengals. Am I right?
I don't know if they're anti-Bengals, but the love certainly has died down.
I mean, what is their hatred toward? Is it because they're embarrassed they're proved wrong, or?
I don't know. I just think a lot of people in the media are given a direction to go. A lot of times talking heads don't actually believe the kind of opinions they're saying.
Right.
I can remember being on radio, and the first thing our producer would say to us is, here are your topics, find out which end you want to debate. You guys cannot agree on these today.
Right.
And 85% of the time, because you've got smart people that love sports in there, 85% of the time, one of the people talking does not agree with what they're saying. They're just running, and they know how to debate. They know how to talk. They know the counterpoints because they've heard it and had to argue against it. Like there were times where they were like, hey, we're talking about steroids in baseball. Santori, you need to argue for it. And I was like, I ain't arguing for that shit. They're like, well, you need to argue for it. And then I would argue for steroids in baseball, and then my dad would call, and he's like, what the hell was that? And I was like, they told me I had to.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So they're not about giving your own opinion. They assign you your opinion.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's wow.
About half the time. Yeah, they would.
Wow.
If the producer would get in there and say, what's your opinion on this? And it was clear that you guys already disagreed, they'd go about their day. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, if it was something blatantly obvious, like, hey, do you like Deshaun Watson off the field? Everybody would be like, fuck no. Like,
yeah,
obviously. But if it was a situation like, hey, should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? And everybody in that area is from Cincinnati, they're all going to say yes. They'd be like, hey, it's your turn to say no today. And you're like, fuck, all right. So you'd have to sit there for half an hour and lie.
Wow.
Say that no, like I don't believe he should. And it's
exactly. Dude, exactly. I totally agree with that, man. Yeah, like with the media, it's just that I if I have to see one more T. Higgins trade scenario, I'll give you a funny. But one thing I will say about this, I asked my brother-in-law, "What would you trade for T. Higgins?" He said, "I'd trade a second-round pick for T. Higgins." Are you kidding me?
No. Why would I do that?
Yeah, exactly. And I compared that to Antonio. I'm like, how is it that A.J. Brown got 2 first rounds? So he's like, oh, Brown's much better than T. Higgins. I'm like, no, he's not. I literally compared. Now, A.J. Brown had more touchdowns than T. Higgins.
A.J. Brown's a better athlete than T.
Yeah.
Because of the size and speed combination.
Right.
But T is a far better route runner. T has far better catch radius. I mean, it's really not close. If you put A.J. Brown on this team and took T. Higgins off, I don't think AJ Brown's getting 1,000 yards like T does automatically.
Right. And then like I compared it to Hollywood Brown. He's like, well, that's because Hollywood Brown was a first round. They got a first round pick because he had 2 years left on his contract. I'm like, I don't care if he had 3 or 4 years left. I still wouldn't trade a first round for Hollywood Brown. That's ridiculous.
If you had to ask me what I would honestly want for T,
Yeah.
A 1,
Mm-hmm.
at least a 3, and then a 4 or 5. That's minimum. It would be astronomical what I would want for T. Higgins.
Oh yeah, man. I'm not
either that or I'll take 2 number 1s.
I was so
I know people think that sounds insane, but here's the deal. You have no idea what you're drafting. You really don't.
no.
No one's got a crystal ball, like they said in Moneyball. You have no idea how good this kid's going to be. It's the same way that I don't.
Right.
We tell these parents the lies across the coffee table in the living room and in those kitchens, but you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So at the end of the day, when you have someone like T where you do know, those lottery pick numbers then, because I consider draft picks lottery picks,
Yeah.
it needs to be so much higher because he was hitting the fucking lottery at 33. If you redraft, T's a top 15 pick in that draft.
Yeah.
So I need at least a number 1.
That's so weird you're all talking about it because I remember reading a draft thing saying people like, oh, the one player we could see dropping in the draft is T. Higgins. I remember seeing reports that people said he could drop in the draft. I told you, I was Denzel Mims all the way. I know Goodberry was high on him. I'm like, we got Denzel Mims. This is our guy right here. Or Laviska Shenault, I remember too, which I'm glad we did. Obviously, I'm so glad I was proven wrong. But I thought I heard reports T was supposed to drop in the draft.
He was. I didn't like his 40 time.
Yeah, well, no, another guy, they said what it came down to was, TJ Hushmanzada, like you said, with Willie Anderson and Paul Alexander, TJ Hushmanzada, they talked to all the time about receivers he's coached and all. That was another big thing. They said it came down between him and who's the guy for the Colts when he came out of USC? Mike Williams?
Pittman.
Yeah, no, that was different. Yeah. But that's who I heard it came down to was those two. But no, I wasn't really mad that we got T. Higgins. I was expecting it. I thought it was going to be Denzel Mims.
I need to look at that draft class again. And I know Justin Jefferson was in that class. I need to see.
Oh, we would have taken. You can agree with this, Santori. Obviously, he's playing well, but we would have taken him immediately because of Burrow, right?
Oh, Jefferson, if he was there?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, easily. I mean, that was one of my receiver
classes. Going back and looking through this draft class, and I don't have it in front of me. Right.
How is Judy not doing well, though, for the Broncos? I don't get that, man. I keep thinking he's going to peak, and he just never does.
So I had T as my, let's see, 1, 2. I had T as my number 4 wide receiver in that draft class. I had him. I had Jefferson 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to read it backwards. That's why I'm taking a second here. I had CeeDee Lamb 2.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the other one?
Was it Judy?
Jefferson.
Or was it Ruggs?
No, it wasn't Ruggs. I couldn't stand him.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it was Judy. I had Judy as 3 and T4. I got that one a little wrong.
Judy, he had the size and everything. What is with Judy?
A terrible team.
Yeah, I guess so. But Ruggs actually was playing well until he made a decision that cost him pretty much for the rest of his life.
I mean, Judy hasn't been bad. He had, 15 games this year with no quarterback worth to speak of because Wilson was terrible.
Yeah.
He's got 2,300 yards in 41 games. He's missed 10 games, and he's 800 yards behind T.
That's not bad, actually.
He's really not unproductive. He doesn't have a good quarterback.
Right. You think a trade, because I heard he could get traded. I think a trade.
He's averaging 15 yards a catch. He had 6 touchdowns this year. He did pretty damn good, especially for missing 2 games. He had 1,000 yards.
Exactly. Do you
With
think
that offense and that coach that just got fired?
Yeah. Do you think? Well, no. Didn't the Raiders just take Ruggs because of speed, pretty much?
Yeah, the Raiders love speed. They always
Well,
have.
I tell you what, though, like I said, before Ruggs made the horrible decision, he was actually playing well, wasn't he?
He was producing to a degree, yeah, especially for not being in what I would call the best system on the planet.
No, exactly. But you remember the Raiders? Who was that one player they drafted years ago? The Raiders did. Everybody thought they were going to take Michael Crabtree. There was that dude for I know what his name was. He came out of Maryland. He was not supposed to be. He was like a late first round. They were picking like 7th in the draft. I forget his name, but but they just took him because of his speed. I forget his name now.
I know who you're talking about.
Who the hell was it?
What year was Crabtree drafted? How was that? 13?
And he was a beast at Texas Tech. Oh, it's gonna come. It's gonna kill me. I know who it's gonna be.
Michael Crabtree. When were you drafted? What year? Crabtree was drafted.
Hayward Bay. It was Darius Hayward Bay.
Yes. Oh God. The sprinter.
Yeah. The sprinter. Everybody. I mean, the Raiders, man, and they took Celian Farrell. They took him high that one year. That speed, that edge rusher out of Clemson. He was supposed to be like a top 15 pick. Mike Mayock was like, "Oh yeah, we had him as a top pick." I'm like, Mike Mayock, man, the draft expert. Everybody had like Celian Farrell as like a late round pick. So I don't know, man. The Raiders just go by that. That's a team that just goes by their own board, pretty much.
That's why it's so hard to predict the draft, because everybody's got a different board. You
Yep.
never know what certain people see. You never know what red flags people are willing to take.
Yep.
Fucking Aaron Rodgers went pick like 26, 25, whatever it was.
Dude, that was
They didn't like him because he was cocky.
right.
So he's one of the best quarterbacks ever.
And you know what could have been in that year? That could have been the best draft class for the Bengals ever. David Pollock, if he didn't have that horrible injury that happened to him, he was playing at a high level just when he was getting to his peak after his rookie season. Odell Thurman, I thought, could have been one of the best, maybe not like Ray Lewis, but he could have been a top 10 linebacker. And Chris Henry, I've said this always. I thought Henry could have been better than Chad and TJ. I truly believe that.
I don't know. I always saw Chris as a compliment.
He had speed though. He had Randy Moss ability, man. He was 6'5", could run fast.
He had speed, but he struggled with intermediate routes. He wasn't the smoothest route runner in and out of cuts. He was very fast, could jump out of a gym.
Wait, okay, so he just didn't have like the he wasn't his.
He always seemed like a guy that when he was in the open field struggled a little bit.
He was a great red zone. No, Palmer loved him in the red zone now.
He's a size problem. The size and speed. He's just a skinny T. Higgins is what it is.
Yeah, no, if we had to compare the big three in 05 to the big three today, you would compare TJ to Tyler Boyd, you would compare Chad to Chase, and you would pair Higgins to Henry, right?
Right, and there's really no comparison because 05 can't touch this team.
Right, exactly.
It's not even close.
But Santori, everybody says Chad was the best of all time. I guarantee a lot of people when AJ was playing, I think people are just totally ignoring AJ Green right now, man. I mean,
people like recency bias. One, they're going to go with what's in front of them because it's the easiest thing to think about. The best receiver on this team historically played about 50 years ago, and he could have played at any era, and that's Isaac Curtis. They rewrote the entire NFL rulebook because you just couldn't cover the guy.
No, that's it. You're right. Yeah.
He was you want to talk about guys that were uncoverable in pure long speed and great athleticism? It's him. You look at his numbers, they're just as good, if not better, than any other wide receiver in that era. And it's really hard to compare wide receivers era to era because the rules change all the time. But Isaac Curtis could have played in any era of football in the NFL. And if you played him today, today with his speed and athleticism, in the way you're not allowed to touch receivers anymore, oh my God, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the All Pro every year.
But because he wore Bengal stripes, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
That's just
I would really have to take a look at all the receivers that aren't in the Hall of Fame, but he's got to be a top 5 receiver that's not in. I mean, his numbers are just as good as Lynn Swann and Stallworth with the Steelers. They just have the rings.
Yeah.
And receivers didn't play super long back then, so it's not like when you look at it, it's like, oh, he's got 7,800 yards or 8,000, whatever, how many yards he had. Well, it's not the same game. It's not the same era. They didn't play as long. And defensive backs were allowed to decapitate you when you were trying to catch the ball back then. They can't do that now. They had to completely change bump and run coverage because of Isaac Curtis. That whole 5-yard rule that you always hear about, that's because of him.
That's interesting. I got to go. Yeah, because I was told about that. What was the rule that you're allowed to hit? Like, because like people said, I can't cover him. He gets past me, or like you're allowed to like kind of block him or something, or
you're allowed to jam guys within 5 yards of the line now. You couldn't before. He just ran by you. They got free releases, and they couldn't cover him.
Wow. That's just wow, man. I mean, it just the more you learn about this, I mean, Kenny Anderson, man, gosh, when you look him up, I mean, like, do you think he will get in the Hall of Fame, Kenny Anderson?
No, I don't.
Do you think Willie will get in?
Yes, I do.
I think. Do you think it'll be next year? I think it'll be next year.
I'd say sometime in the next 3 to 5 years, it'll be for sure. I can't see him staying out there too long without getting in. The Hall of Fame does a really, really, really good job with linemen, especially offensive linemen and tackles getting in. As much as we like to shit on the Hall of Fame, they do a damn good job recognizing positions that don't necessarily have stats.
Right.
And there's been a recent push for Willie. But keep in mind, Willie retired in like 2009 or whatever it was. And that means he was on the ballot in like 13 or 14. You haven't really heard about him getting a push until the last year or two. So he's come out of nowhere and got all the way to like the top 5 finalists out of nowhere. And it's no surprise that the Bengals have been honoring their own, that this is happening.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Willie's not in the ring yet, is he? Or did he just get in?
No, in what? The Ring of Honor?
Is Willie in the Ring of Honor or no? I don't really.
So the first, Ring of Honor this year was Willie and Lamar Parrish, yes.
Okay.
No, wait. Willie and Isaac Curtis. Sorry.
It would not surprise me if Willie gets in next year.
Yeah.
When you look at Ken Riley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they put his stuff up on the screen and all his accolades,
Yeah.
It's 65 interceptions, played this year to this year, Super Bowl appearance, did this, at the very, 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 very end of the list, it says Bengals Ring of Honor. They care about that shit.
Yes, they do.
The Hall of Fame really, really, really cares about it. Because here's the deal, and this is just the fact of the matter, and no one on the planet's going to tell me otherwise with this. The NFL Hall of Fame is a greater honor than the Bengals Ring of Honor. It just is. That's what we all strive for. It's the greatest honor you can get.
Absolutely.
It's the hardest thing you can possibly do is get into the Ring of Honor. Okay? Or the Hall of Fame. So if the Hall of Fame's looking and go, you can't even get in your own team's Hall of Fame, why am I going to let you in mine?
Exactly.
There's something to be said about that. There really, really is.
Yeah. And you know what, Tori, since you and I are just now officially season ticket holders, technically you and I could vote for the Ring of Honor. So let's have some fun here. It's going to be 2 guys next year. Give me 2 guys you would campaign for. If you had to campaign for, who would be the 2 guys you would vote for next year?
There's so many because it's so backlogged.
Well, wait, do we do like an old guy and a new guy? Like, I don't know how to do this. I mean, like you said, Lamar Parrish, nobody knows about. He should be in. I think another guy, you got to let the older guys in first, I think. I mean,
you do. I think you have to do it backwards because if you let 2 in every year, there's honestly probably about 20 to 25 guys that deserve it, which means in 10 or 15 years, you'll be 100% caught up.
Yeah.
and then you can be a little bit more selective.
Right. I think it almost should be 8 players because we got to get caught up here, man. The first year was 4, and now we cut it down to 2. It should definitely have been 4 last year. It should be 4 this year. Right?
Just do 2. I'm good with 2.
Well, we got to speed things up, though, don't we?
You don't have to speed things up.
All right, you're right.
If you got 20 guys that deserve to be in from here on out, let's say there's 20.
You know, Atkins coming up soon. When he's retired, you have Kevin Huber. I think you can make an argument for.
I'm not worried about anybody recent. Okay, they can wait too.
Okay, so give me 2 guys. Lamar Parrish has to be one of them. What about Boomer or Dave Lapham?
There's better. There's far better.
I have to really look into this, man. But Lamar Parrish is definitely one.
Lamar, we need to start with guys that are fringe Hall of Famers.
Right.
Corey,
Corey
Lamar Parrish, definitely. No, Corey Dillon would never get in if I was voting.
Okay.
He can go kick rocks somewhere.
All right.
You don't get to rip the jersey off, throw your equipment in the stands, give a big FU to the organization, and they expect to be showered with love. Bye.
Yeah.
Corey Dillon and Carson Palmer are on the same exiled island for me. I don't care what you did. You don't get to do that. Goodbye.
What about James Brooks?
I think there's more important guys to get in first.
Tim Crumry.
Is he not in yet?
He's not in the Ring of Honor. No.
Okay, Tim needs to be up there. Probably Lamar and Tim. What would be my next?
Those are 2 names I heard on Twitter somebody say. I'm trying to think, though, man. Is there any other? Reggie Williams? No.
Is Isaac Curtis in there?
No. Here's the guys that are in.
I don't know who's in it at the moment.
No. So the first year, Paul Brown, Anthony Munoz, they were automatically in because everybody knew.
Right.
Then both Kens, Ken Riley and Ken Anderson. This year, it was Isaac Curtis and Willie Anderson.
Okay, so Isaac's in. Okay. Crumry definitely needs to be.
You think so?
Yeah, Crumry definitely needs to be.
Well, I'm just trying to think. What about Dave Lapham, man? He's not. I know he wasn't that great of a player, but look what he's done with the organization. I think you have to consider him this year, don't you?
Sure, but let's do great players first or great coaches.
Sam White. Sam White. I think he could get in eventually, right?
I think any coach that's ever taken you to a Super Bowl deserves to be in.
Okay, so all right.
That's one of the hardest things to do on the planet.
Does Marvin Lewis deserve to be considered ever?
No, he didn't do anything. He's a 500 coach.
Just making sure.
What did Marvin accomplish? He could never beat the Steelers. He struggled with the Browns.
Yeah.
He struggled with the Ravens.
No, he always beat the Ravens. Lewis would always beat the Ravens, usually.
He was 500 against the Ravens in his career.
Oh, never mind. I thought we always beat the Ravens.
He was 500 in the NFL if you include his playoff losses. Couldn't win a big game. Couldn't win a night game. Couldn't win a Monday Night Football game. If it wasn't Sunday 1 at home against an NFC team, he fucking sucked. I mean,
that's true. You have a point there. Okay, let me think. Does Boomer? What about Boomer? How come Boomer's not getting talked up here, man?
This is the issue. It's so backlogged. Everybody you've named, with the exception of like Marvin or, in my opinion, Corey Dillon, deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. Even if you take my bias of what Corey Dillon did out of it, statistically speaking, he deserves to be in. I mean, statistically speaking, he's a fringe Hall of Fame running back. So
now, Chad, could Chad get in this year? Do you think Chad should wait more?
The issue is it's up to a fan vote, and the fans fucking love Chad. If Chad's on the list, I think he's getting in. I don't know. I would have a hard – as much as I think it should be Crumry and Parrish, I would have a really hard time not voting for Chad Johnson.
Yeah, can we agree with this? Within the next 3 years, Chad will be in the Ring of Honor.
I would. I'd put money on that.
I would too. Max Montoya, that's another guy I forgot about. I mean, he needs to be. I think could you consider him over Tim Crumry?
I don't know. I mean, he was damn good. Don't get me wrong.
He never got enough credit, man. I mean, we know Munoz was the best, but Montoya, man, you know what made our line go crumble is letting Max Montoya go to the Raiders. and all that. And Al Davis, man, is a very picky guy. He said in an interview, Al Davis tried to recruit him to be the offensive line coach after he retired. I mean, that says a lot right there with Al Davis too, man. I mean, you got to think about this with Max Montoya.
He's definitely in consideration. Again, you haven't really named anybody. You haven't really named anyone I'm against. It's
okay.
We're just 50 years behind.
Right? No. But this what makes it interesting. You're like, all right. It doesn't have to be in order. Just give me. All right. So you can pick 2 guys. Give me 5 players in no rankings that should be in the top 5. The final cut, we'll say. Yeah. Well, no, before the second to last final cut. I'm going to say, let's say Crumry, Parrish, Montoya. I guess we'll put Chad in there. And my 5th guy would be. I know you don't want him in, but I got to go Corey Dillon. I'm just a big Corey Dillon fan, and not as a person, as a player. I'm sorry.
I would go probably Boomer.
Okay.
I would go Crumry. I would go Parrish. I think I'm gonna lean towards something you said and put Lapham in if I had to.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
I think he has done a lot.
You know what? Corey, I'm going to take out Dillon and put in Lapham. That's what I'll do. Wait a minute. What about who was that tight end we had? It was a great broadcaster. What was his name?
Ooh, yeah, he deserves it.
What's his name? Damn, I have him hanging up here somewhere.
Come on, you'll get it.
No, come on. Oh crap.
Greg, I'm disappointed.
Oh, stop it. It's hanging up right there. Hold on. It's damn it, I have Trumpy. And here's another guy hanging up. What about Tommy Casanova? That's another guy I forgot about.
I don't know. I mean, you can't let Bengal Dad see this because Bengal Dad is a enormous Tommy Casanova fan.
Really?
Like the biggest Tommy Casanova fan on the planet.
I never got to see him play, but yeah, that's another guy. But Bob Trumpy, man, you have to consider. I mean, I forgot about him.
Yeah, I feel bad. Trumpy,
Dude, like I said, these guys just keep popping up, man. I mean,
I have an oddball one.
All right, let's hear it. No, let's hear
it. Make sure I got this right. Yeah, Bob Johnson.
I knew who he is. I never really heard enough of him, but I mean, nothing wrong.
He was the first overall pick ever selected by the Bengals.
Well, yeah, but you just can't, you know.
He was the original Bengal. That's him.
Greg Cook, should he ever be considered?
No.
Okay. No. I heard when saying who was the guy? Who was the Niners coach that tried to get the Bengals job? Bill Walsh. I heard Bill Walsh say that was the best quarterback he ever coached before he got hurt.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but you know.
So my grandfather was trying to play for UC when Cook was there, about the same time. And this is fisherman tales.
No,
but he said he swore he saw Greg Cook throw a football 100 yards in the air, goal line to goal line.
From what I've heard, that wouldn't shock me.
That would surprise me. I mean, Josh Allen's got the biggest arm we've ever seen that's going 75.
Yeah.
But no, my grandfather said he was on the field watching him practice. He swears to God that he threw a goal line to goal line.
Damn. Now that you mentioned that, that's a little.
It's like I said, sounds like a fisherman's tale. But
I know it sounds like a Bo Jackson tale. Remember, like, you ever watch that documentary of Bo Jackson? All the crazy things they heard he did, like as a kid and all that, or growing up.
No, when you get a special athlete, don't get me wrong. Like you'll see some freaky shit from kids.
Yeah. Like, do you believe the story of Bo Jackson? You know, like, so you know when he played for the Royals, you know, in center field they have that big Royals crown and all that in center field.
You froze, buddy.
No. I'm trying to ask you.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
Have in center field.
Yeah.
They said in batting practice he hit the tip of that crown. In that crown, they said that's literally impossible to do. But then again, man, I've seen him make some throws and all that. I mean, but like I say, man, Greg Cook sounds like a Bill Jackson type of athlete.
Well, here's one, and this one is pretty true. I'm pretty sure I can confirm it. This is the kind of stuff. So you got a lot of parents out there that think their kid's going to go pro.
Yeah.
I don't know how many parents I dealt with when I coached, just in the 5 or 6 years that I was lucky enough to coach football.
Yeah.
That thought their kids were going to be professionals.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the deal. I've been removed from coaching for about a year and a half now.
Right.
I coached for about 7 years.
Right.
The first round of kids that are eligible to go pro that legitimately had a chance is this year. There's one kid, and I'm not going to name names, and he was damn good when I coached at Princeton. There's your hint. Princeton back around 2015. He's got an outside chance as being a undrafted free agent. And he was the absolute star of that school.
Really?
Undrafted free agent. I mean, it takes a monster athlete. And he was good. I didn't think he screamed, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I remember watching tape my first year coaching thinking that this kid was legit, but I didn't think he was a god or anything. But the stuff that you really need to pop an eye out on, right? There was a player in Cincinnati growing up. I want to say it would have been what year? It would have been about 1978, I believe. Let me make sure of that.
All right.
Give me just a second.
All right, buddy. No issue.
It'd have been 1981. Okay.
1981.
When he was 12 years old, he struck out for the first time in his life. First time in his life he had ever struck out in baseball. 12 years old. When his whole life never striking out.
Wow.
Ken Griffey Jr. Those are the moments where you go, oh.
He never in his life struck out.
He didn't strike out till he was 12 years old.
That's unbelievable.
Some kid got him in knot hole, and I think it probably ruined his year.
Oh my God, dude! I mean, it's great.
And then here's the other thing: you watch Junior. He goes to Moeller. He's like the best baseball player of all time in high school, right?
Right.
Junior was a better football player.
I was gonna say, didn't he play football? Yeah.
He was a punt returner, and he was Devin Hester before Devin Hester. He was like Deion Sanders.
Shut up!
My God. Oh, he could have easily gone pro in football.
What? No, like, did people try to recruit him for football?
Oh, I'm sure.
What am I saying? Of course they did. It's freaking Mola. I bet you Notre Dame or someone was knocking on the door saying, "We want you, man."
Yeah, I mean, it's just the kind of player he was.
Just a gifted athlete, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you've got stuff like that where it's like, oh, this kid's the best baseball player I've ever seen, but he's also really good at football. Or here's a good one. There was a kid back in like 2013, 2012. Or no, it would have been, hold on.
Take your time.
It'd have been closer to 2015.
Okay.
A couple years younger than me. Who was a pretty darn good basketball player. And he was a safety. And their team had an emergency and asked him to play quarterback. He now starts for the Cincinnati Bengals.
You mean to tell me Joe Burrow?
He was a safety in high school.
Right, because I know he had two older brothers that were defensive players.
And his dad was a safety. That's a
right. He was a defensive coach. Wait. I thought, so what age did he start playing quarterback?
Like sophomore year of high school is when he had played it before in like little league. Because the best player in Pop Warner is typically your quarterback, but he didn't seriously start playing quarterback until he was like 15 or 16.
I mean, I just don't get.
That's how you know when you got a kid that steps in and just becomes Mr. Ohio. It's like, oh, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, no kidding. God damn it, man. I mean, like, but now you know this story, right? You know when he transferred to Ohio State, you know it came down to LSU and this one. You know what the other school came down to, right?
UC.
And it would have made sense too, because of Fickle. In a way, I thought at the time you think, oh yeah, UC's the perfect place. It's right near home.
What's really funny is I was sitting in LaSalle's locker room when I got there was a news article that said, 5-star quarterback or whatever he was, debating between UC and LSU. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Go to LSU. Like, those are the two schools you typically don't hear UC mentioned in the same breath as an SEC school.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, who's this kid? It was like Joe Burrow, like Mr. Ohio. And I was like, no. I was like, well, that'd be really cool. I hope UC gets a good quarterback like this.
Yeah.
I watched his highlights and I was like, all right, he looks pretty good, whatever. And then it was like, oh, he chose LSU. And I was like, damn. I was like, UC's never going to get a good quarterback. And then he exploded at LSU. And I was like, I think I got a shot at him again. Let's go.
Exactly. So we need to re-talk about that Miami Bengals game. I remember that game just like it was yesterday. Like I said, man, we're down by 16 points with less than 2 minutes left, I think. Dude, touchdown. No, it was a big fourth down and Tyler Boyd misses it, but then pass interference on Tyler Boyd. Then Burrow throws that.
I was having an absolute meltdown. We'll talk about that Monday because you can get Bengal Dad's perspective.
Okay, yeah.
You've been in the living room, kind of where Shiesty's at. That's where we were watching,
right?
And we actually had a TV over the fireplace. If you remember what the fireplace was, and we were watching there, and I was screaming for the Bengals to lose that game. And you're right; they were down 16 with like a minute and 15 left or whatever it was.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, we're going to get Joe Burrow. I'm like dancing around the house. I was like, the Savior's coming.
All that shit, man, to get two.
And I'm like, the Savior's coming. God is great. Yes. I was so excited.
Yes.
And then Andy decides he wants to be an elite quarterback for the first time in his fucking career. Right. And everything decides to go right at the wrong time. I am losing my shit in the living room. I am screaming. I'm punching the couch. And Dad's like, you don't want him to win? I was like, do you want to win this game or do you want to win Super Bowls? Take your pick. And then he was like, I just can't root for him to lose. I said, then go away for the next 30 minutes and let me enjoy the one time I want my team to fucking lose.
Dude, I don't want to say this, Santori. I don't want to say it. But Santori, you got to look at big picture here, man. Remember when Boyd was hurt? I thought of Mickey and Rocky. Down, stay down. And he gets up the last second.
And that tore me to pieces because as a coach, that's like the best thing you want is like you've got this tough guy. He's putting it on the line for your teams. Literally, he can't even stand up. He is all his weight's on one leg. He's like a fucking wounded deer out there just trying to go. And I'm like, man, you have earned so much of my respect right now, but I need you to stop. This is not
stop, man. Yes. And like when Dalton, man, he throws that touchdown, then the 2 points, like, yes, Dalton's right out of the pocket. The game's over. Like, oh my God, he walked in the end zone. I forget what happened in overtime. Weren't there like a bunch of penalties we had and all that? And well, no. Who was it? The Harvard guy, quarterback, the Dolphins had Fitzpatrick. Wasn't he throwing some dimes down the field or something? Or what?
I don't remember. I remember what I thought was I was watching the greatest comeback in Bengal history, and I was upset about it.
Well, no.
That's what I remember.
when the Dolphins are going to the field goal, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, he misses this. That's still half a loss for us. We got the first round pick no matter what happens here. But no, in our luck, they could have returned it for a touchdown or something. But like a way.
I've never rooted against I've been mad at my team, and I've maybe wanted players gone at the end of the year, but I always root for wins.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh my God, if we end up winning 3 games, we're going to pick 4th instead of 2nd. I don't give a shit about that. Right. When I knew it was Joe Burrow on the line, and you can ask Dad, like you guys see it now. I didn't know. I know we didn't know each other when we were all scouting Joe.
Right.
I was as high on Joe Burrow. He's the second player. He's the second highest player I've ever been on in my life.
There was one.
Mahomes. Yeah. I told Mahomes I told Dad I thought Mahomes was going to go to the Hall of Fame before he took a snap. Right.
Were you high on Andrew? Andrew Luck was arguably one of the highest rated quarterbacks going in the draft. Would you agree with that too?
He was the highest quarterback I was on until Mahomes. He was the original. Oh my God, this is it.
Yeah, because dude, he had everything. Luck was a big dude that could run, that could throw. I mean, Luck, man, I thought was the perfect quarterback.
I did too. It's just such a shame how his career ended. But what's really weird is that there's a really, I mean, you might remember it. The playoff game about 7 years ago between the Chiefs and Colts.
Is that when the Colts made that big comeback when?
Yeah, the Chiefs were absolutely kicking the Colts' ass.
Was it like 28-0 or something?
It was bad. It was really bad. Dad and I decided to go to that for whatever reason. So we were there for that.
Oh, nice.
And we were sitting in the end zone, probably the second level, but we were in the end zone where that famous fumble was, where Luck picked it back up and dove over for a touchdown.
I did watch that.
Dad and I looked at each other like, this fucking guy.
That dude is a beast, man. No, dude, Luck, man. Oh my God, dude. He was fun to watch.
What was really weird that I've never seen anybody mention it, and I've never seen video of it. The halftime show for that playoff game was the worst halftime show I've ever seen in my life.
What was it?
It was it was almost like you ever seen the changing of the guard in Washington D.C. for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where they have like the whole silent thing, they flip the gun around a couple times and they switch out guards and they walk away?
I might have, but I probably wouldn't know.
They had a bunch of members of the military out there, and it was a silent halftime show. The Colts were getting their asses handed to them. There was no emotion in the crowd. The place was as dead as it could possibly be.
Right.
It's a silent halftime show where all of the members of the military are doing the stuff where they flip the guns around.
Yeah,
and then they would like walk in a circle and do it again. And Dad and I are like, this is awful. Like we got to do something else. Where's the music? Where's something?
Yeah, but no, by the way, Lucas Oil Stadium, that looks like a cool stadium. Isn't it a nice stadium?
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'd love to go there sometime. I went to Indianapolis for a Pacers game one time, and you look at all city Indianapolis, all of a sudden you see this gigantic stadium. I'm like, holy crap.
So we've been there a couple times. We went for that playoff game.
Yeah.
It's only 90 minutes from Cincinnati. I've always said if the Bengals left town, I'd just be a Colts fan because it's right down the street.
No, that's true.
I try to root for people who are close to me and close to my town. I have a huge issue with Cleveland, but I don't have any issue with Indy. So if the Bengals ever left town, probably just pick the Colts. Right there. I could get season tickets and make a good little weekend out of it. It wouldn't be an issue.
I get.
But we also went for the combine about 5-ish years ago.
I heard you went to it, man. Was it cool to see for your sake?
Here's the deal. I love free agency. I love the draft. I love the combine. I'm one of the few people on the planet that I think actually have a lot of enjoyment during the off season. Right. I think a lot of people just think it's boring. I absolutely hated going to the combine.
Really?
It was so bad. And they've changed it since, so I might enjoy it now.
So there was a documentary on Netflix and all that, how they prepare guys for the combine. What's the mind test called? What is that thing? What do they call it?
Fingerlick?
Yeah, okay.
IQ test?
I'm going to ask you to do something for me here. This is from a documentary I saw. I want you to say the word POTS 10 times as fast as you can, because this is where they test your mind here. You say 10 times as fast as you can, and I'm going to ask you a simple question. So on a count of three.
Say, like a frying pan, like a pot?
Yeah, the word POTS. Say the word POTS 10 times as fast as you can. Do it right now.
Okay. Pots, 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 pots.
What do you do to the green light?
Go.
Okay. Everybody was like, stop, because it's pots is reverse of pots is stop and all that. And like they asked a couple of players.
Like, it's like the spell fork, F-O-R-K. What do you eat your cereal with?
Right.
A fork.
Because that's the mind test they play with you, because you keep saying pot. And when they said, what do you do to a green light? And people think stop, because that's the mind game.
The other issue is when you do those psychological tests, they get you to a point where you're like, say it's super fast.
Right.
That they want the answer to be reactionary instead of thinking.
Right, exactly.
So if your reactionary is wrong, There's the problem.
Johnson, he said, and what the best right tackle in the league for the Eagles, he said the Bengals gave him the weirdest test. Try to remember like 3 things or something at once. But like you said, they do that because they want you have to be quick thinking and all that, saying, okay, like you just said right there, right?
Right.
You're thinking.
But no, the combine was terrible.
It was that bad, huh?
It was fun to watch all the drills because all the drills were on the field.
Yeah.
We were there on receivers day. So it was fun to watch all the guys do the agility drills, the drill where they go up and down the sideline, catch a ball, turn up field. We watched the 40 times. It was funny. One of the guys I watched that I was like, "Ooh, that guy's a problem," was Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and now he just pisses me off for the Chiefs. I remember circling him on my little combine guide.
Well, what year was this? What year?
Whatever year it was with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah. Was that who did we draft that year? I'm trying to.
That
was
may
that
have been
John Ross's year?
No, it wasn't John Ross.
Dude, Santori.
I think it was the year after John Ross because I wanted to see if anybody would break it. The issue was they put all the fans in the top in the end zone, which is fine. I was good being up high. You know the way I am.
Was it
what's that?
Was it crowded?
I mean, for an event like that, I would consider it crowded.
Right.
There was maybe a couple thousand people there.
Okay.
You had to be dead silent the entire time, and it was like 4 hours. You couldn't talk.
Okay. It was like a golf event almost.
Yeah, there's more noise at the Masters than the Combine.
You're shitting me. Wow.
I could hear the players grunting running the 40-yard dash from the top row.
No kidding. No, okay, then now that's
impressive. It is dead silent. And they stressed it every time. You got this little earpiece that was a live radio feed to like Rich Eisen, and it was about 5 seconds behind. But they would cut into a commercial. Remember, this is an interview. This is a job audition. Please be quiet. Please be respectful. They were not selling food. It was 4 hours. It was kind of warm in there from what I remember.
No food, no nothing.
You could get bottles of water, a bag of chips, and like popcorn. Like that was it.
They wouldn't even give you pop.
I mean, you might have been able to get a Pepsi, but like it's bottled drink, popcorn. That's it.
So who went? Was it you and your dad that went, or
me, Ashley, and my college roommate went. Ashley fucking loved it. I was come about 2 hours in. I had a splitting headache. I was done taking notes, and I looked at my wife and I was like, "I'm ready to go." She's like, "We're only halfway done." I'm like, "Yeah, I've got my fill. I'm good." And then I look over at my roommate, and my roommate is, I think, has one of my favorite perspectives on life.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in a bad way. He grew up kind of rough, didn't get to do a lot of stuff growing up. So he any chance he gets to do something really, really cool, I mean, he is so appreciative and gets so into whatever it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
I've taken him to the Combine. I took him to Disney World. Like we've done all kinds of stuff together.
Oh, nice.
If I get a chance to take someone somewhere for free, it's that guy. Like I'm like, you're coming with me because I know you're gonna fucking enjoy it.
Exactly.
I looked over and the 40-yard dashes are going on. And again, it was Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'll never forget it. He's got his fucking stopwatch going. And he's like 4-4-2 or whatever he wrote down. And then they'd flash it up on the screen. He's like, almost got that one. And then he's like going to the next one. I'm like, you are really into this right now. And he's like, yeah, man, this is great. And I'm like, I want to die. Like I'm dehydrated. And we went to Giordano's after and finished watching the draft. That's what I remember.
No, because we were kind of texting during the draft. Don't you hate it how you find out? You can find out on social media before they announce the pick. Isn't it so much fun seeing them go up on the podium announcing the pick?
Oh, I turned my phone off during the draft. Or
my brother texted me when you're Cedric Boyhe and all that and stuff. But I'm like, well, now I know how he feels when I told him.
Once we get within, like, let's say the Bengals are picking like 15th or whatever.
Yeah.
Once pick 13 is getting ready to be announced, I will take my phone and throw it to the other side of the room.
Well, no.
And do this for about 30 minutes.
Right. No, when the Chiefs were picking, like before us, I'm like, please don't be Karlaftis. Please don't be I kept refreshing my phone. And I'm like, Karlaftis. I'm like, God damn it. But no. Like my mom texted me one time. I'm glad I turned off my phone. My mom texted me right when the Bengals were about to pick. Hey, Greg, since you're waiting for the draft, do you want to go? You want to go get a cup of coffee? I'm so glad because I would have been like, Mom, leave me alone, and all that.
The only time I ever cheated during the draft, and you can ask my family. I cheat all the time during games. If they go to commercial break and it's an official review, I am refreshing on my phone.
Yeah, do that.
See, I have to know. I hate it. The only time I've ever cheated during the draft.
No, when it gets to later rounds, Santori, then I'm like, okay, I just want to see.
Later rounds, maybe because it's hard for them to keep up in the later rounds on TV. Especially like the 6th and 7th round, and they start going rapid fire.
Yeah, my brother texted me that year. Oh, Greg, they got Senegal play. I'm like, man, I'm so pissed at you. And then like when they were taking Jackson Carman, like, okay, Greg, he's a local guy. I'm like, God dang it, I literally have to be in lockdown and all that. But no. Like I say, that's why I don't want to go to a draft party because Bengals fans will be looking on their phones and announcing it or something. That's what I can't stand.
The only time I ever cheated during a draft, and it was because my anxiety was telling me I had to cheat.
Yeah,
was when they were taking Burrow.
No, because Mike Florida.
I knew they were taking Burrow, but I was like, I just got to make sure.
Right, exactly. And like when time was going down, I'm like, just announce the pick already. Why is we going down to 1 minute here? Announce the goddamn pick.
Oh no, I was getting worried. I was like, come on, guys, just do it.
Because remember, Mike Florio was spreading a stupid rumor. Oh, there could be a trade in the works. Maybe they do a trade. And when it finally pick came in, and I saw Joe Burrow with that head, I'm like, hallelujah. But dude, so I was on Team Chase and all that. I had a Team Chase shirt made for me. I was scared to death that Falcons were going to take Chase, even though I heard no reports about it. Falcons were going to take Chase.
You know who did not want Chase?
Who?
Dad.
Yeah. You told me he was.
I've got videos somewhere because I was recording when we were picking.
Send that to me or tweet it out. Well, maybe not tweet it out, but send it to me.
I've got videos somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it.
Were you on?
It was funny. It was me, Dad, and Game On 513 was over for the draft that year. I don't know if you follow him at all on Twitter.
Okay.
But it was me, him, and Game On.
Yeah.
And they took Chase, and all of a sudden you hear Dad go, shit! And I started laughing. I was like, do you know who you just got?
Oh my God, your dad must have been pissed. I know how your dad acted one time because when your sister one time was helping with the TV and the TV turned off, your dad dipped to the ground. That was like, oh my God.
The amount of we'll call them eruptions from my dad. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot.
No, I can imagine.
I won't share most of them.
Yeah, your dad's a very passionate fan. No. But like, dude, if you got to get, but seriously, were you on Team Chase or Team Sewell?
Depended on the week.
You went back and forth too?
So it's like right now. I've got a book manual I'm writing on how to build a team.
Yeah.
I'm going back and forth on a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different rules of thumb.
Right.
There's a lot of conflicting things that I'm working through right now.
Right.
And the first one that I'm dealing with is, do you pay 2 wide receivers? And almost every single time I say no. But I'm finding myself, and maybe it's because it's the Bengals, where I'm going, I do want to pay T. But here's the deal. If it was the other way around and it was the Browns who were getting ready to pay, let's say, Pickett, and then they're getting ready to dump a ton of money on 2 receivers, I'd be like, please do it. You're going to ruin your defense. Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
You have to start cutting weight, and defense is the easiest place to cut weight.
Right.
So there's a part of me that's like, absolutely not, you don't do that. And then part of me is like, I love T. I want to keep T.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it's the bias. The other one that I'm going to have to write on is, if you don't have a line, do you draft line or skill players? And I had a huge internal struggle with that one because I have a flow chart
Right.
It's like 4 or 5 feet long if you blow it up. And the flow chart starts with, and this is strictly for drafting. Do you have a quarterback? Yes or no? And it just keeps going.
Yes.
And the next one, if you hit no, draft a quarterback. Is a quarterback available? No. And then it kind of circles back over to the same thing of I have a quarterback. So the next step. And that next one down is, does your quarterback have protection? Not weapon, protection. And so by that and by my philosophy and by everything that I've developed for my team building exercise, I should have taken Sewell instead of Jamar Chase. And that would have probably backfired because Sewell was not good his first year.
No, I thought he had a good rookie year, Sewell did.
He got bounced around a lot. He ended up fine, but they changed his position 2 or 3 times. They couldn't get it right.
No, he's doing well now, isn't he?
He is now, but you would have had a shit offensive line. Sewell wouldn't have looked good. Burrow probably would have still gotten hurt. There's no butterfly effect that would have affected that because that came from a position Sewell didn't play.
I knew when Burrow got sacked in that final play of the game when Chase was wide open, when there was always that stupid drawing of Chase being wide open and Burrow.
Oh, I know. I was like, we're going to see that all offseason.
And my uncle, who I've always told you, is like biggest Reds fan, hates the Bengals. I told you we should have taken Sewell. I'm like, okay, if he was playing left or right tackle, he wouldn't have guarded Aaron Donald. See, that's what I can't stand.
The thing that I have to start putting in here with a heavy asterisk is, and this was true with Chase, and this was a legitimate conversation I had with my dad. You can ask him.
Right.
Does a generational talent at wide receiver, because I thought Chase was.
Yeah.
Does a generational talent at wide receiver help your team more, or does the generational talent at left tackle help your team more? I wasn't sure. I thought, well, both are going to be around a long time. Both are going to be in the Hall of Fame someday if they pan out. So let's start knocking it down levels, okay? Right. Does an average left tackle or average receiver help your team more? Probably an average left tackle. Yeah. Average receivers are dime a dozen, okay?
Right.
You start looking at hit and miss rate. Well, it's much more likely that one of these positions is going to hit or miss more than the other. So what's more likely? Okay, well, does a good wide receiver help you more than an average tackle?
Right.
Yes, it does. Does a great wide receiver help you more than a great tackle? Yes, it does. So you start looking at what's the odds that this guy hits on average. If it's on average, you take the tackle. If you think there's a chance that one of these guys or both of them are going to hit at a Pro Bowl level or higher, which is why you're taking them at pick 5, you should probably take the skill player. The skill player is going to have much more of an effect on game planning. Has Trent Williams helped his team more, or has Jamar Chase helped his team more?
It's a good question.
Trent Williams is a better tackle than Jamar Chase is a receiver.
Trent Williams, man, I mean, didn't he set the Pro Football Focus record? I think he had a 99.
Trent Williams is a Hall of Fame tackle. He's probably the best. He's probably the best tackle in football right now. He's probably one of the best tackles ever.
He's easily, could you argue, he's the top 5 of all time.
Right. So now you start looking at, okay, that's the benchmark for what greatness looks like at the tackle position.
Right.
Is Trent Williams, if you take Jamar Chase off that team and put Trent Williams on that team, do they still go to the Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably not.
No,
because it's not the explosion, the firepower, and production.
Right, man, because you look at Chris Jones, man, all those greats. Okay, I'll line up on this guy, Keem Adeniji or something.
So you need to start looking at is all fair in love and war with these positions once you're going down the list of the flow chart. If it's truly like average level versus average level, yeah, you take the line because average linemen are so hard to find and elite linemen are so hard to find. But when you have the odd and rare situation of a 20-year-old wide receiver who's already won a Biletnikoff Award and he gets his college quarterback back who's already playing at a Pro Bowl level, it's unfortunately you can't just have a black and white statement of yes, you take the tackle. There needs to be circumstance taken into it.
Yes, that's the reason I wanted Chase.
If you take Jamar Chase out of it,
right,
and you make it Jalen Waddle or who else or whatever, then I'm probably going to take the tackle because they're just not going to have that chemistry and that effect.
Let me ask you this: say if they did come down between Waddle and Devontae Smith, who would you have taken?
If it had come down to Waddle and Smith, as opposed to Chase, probably Waddle. I really liked Waddle.
I heard they liked Devontae Smith a lot. I remember hearing about that. I heard.
It's not, and I don't want people to think that means that I don't like Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith.
Dude, when I
just trusted Waddle a little bit more. The size thing bothered me for Devontae Smith.
Dude,
it still does.
I'm like, this dude looked like he could break any second, man, if this guy took a hit.
I know, but he's proved me wrong. He hasn't got hurt.
No, he hasn't either. No, Chase got hurt. Chase the size of a running back.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Santori, man, I got to hit the hay, man. I got to be at work at 6:30 tomorrow morning, man. But I had a hell of a time, man. I mean, this was awesome, man. Hey, but dude, congrats. We're both season ticket holders now, man. Took a while. Well, took longer for me than you, but because I'm older and all that and stuff. So you have a head start for me.
I mean, I've had season tickets before. I gave them up. Kind of. Well, actually, yeah, I did. I mean, I grew up with season tickets, and then Dad stopped getting them because he got a lot of tickets thrown at him for advertising with his company that he was working with.
Oh, there you
go. And then he stopped getting advertising. And then there was some kind of ticket promotion they did about 4 years ago. Can't remember what it was.
Well, remember they had the whole ticket pack deal. You could do all these cool deals, but now that they're winning now, they don't need to do any of that.
Well, I forget what the promo was that they did. I think it was called Jungle Pass or something. But it was $20 a game.
Damn.
And Ashley and I bought season tickets for I think it was $300 for the year. And you sat in the nosebleeds, but I was on the 50-yard line in the nosebleeds. I remember picking my tickets, and I was like, "This is cheap as hell."
Santori, speaking of cheap as hell, man, how shocked were you when you found out, just like how I was, 700? I kept asking the season ticket guy, "Is it all 9 games? Is it all 9 games?" He's like, "Yes, Greg. It's not 4 games." He's like, "Greg, it's all 9 games."
Yeah, no, they're ridiculously cheap.
That's a bargain. I mean,
how many times did we see people selling tickets online? Once the playoffs were imminent and they were in the middle of that 10-game win streak, people were selling tickets for $280, $300 a pop.
The cheapest ticket, Santori, at one point near the end of the season was maybe with the exception of that Ravens game, was $175 was a cheap ticket.
Yeah, if I sold both of my first game tickets for $175 a piece, I will have paid for half of my season tickets.
Easily.
Half of one ticket, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. Well, buddy, I'm going to hit the hay, man. Santori, thank you so much for doing this tonight, man. I had a great time, buddy.
Yeah, I've been a little bored. It's toward the end of the week.
Hey, Santori, man, if you want to talk more draft or something, man, dude, let me know, man. I got to start learning my players. I got to start learning more about this. I've told you on phone conversations, I really want to up my game here of knowing this stuff, man.
Yeah, just start really diving into because film is one of the hardest things to grade if you've never did film before. I thought I knew how to watch film, and then I had 2 different college quarterbacks coach me on how to watch film.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 college defensive linemen teach me how to look at X's and O's. And I had an NFL defensive lineman teach me how to look at film. And then I had an NFL wide receivers coach teach me things about film. And I was like, I didn't know shit. You think you do, but my God. And I that was just in a couple of years. I mean, I am still a novice. The best compliment I ever got was from a former Big Ten head coach.
Uh-huh.
and he had got me an interview to coach college ball at one point. So I guess he thought something of me.
Yeah.
Told me that comparatively speaking, for people who want to coach college and in the NFL, that I was considered a novice who was smart enough to pick it up and keep going. And I was like, okay. I was like, an NFL coach thinks that I can do it, huh?
That's something, man.
No, like I had worked with him, and they had me on a path to get to the league. They thought that I could do it, and unfortunately, I just didn't have the resources to move where I needed to move to. The first offer I ever got was on the other side of the country for $700 a month, and I just couldn't make it happen.
I can't imagine why. Right? But would you ever go back to coaching?
If I could find a way to get off work by 2, I would work 7 days a week if you told me I could be at every single one of my practices and my games. I miss it. It was fun. It was frustrating, but it was fun. I would if I had the opportunity. If I had the same coaching opportunity presented to me in a much closer area of the country than Southern Florida, because it was an NAIA school that was asking me to interview. If someone in that level of conference, say in the state of Ohio or Northern Kentucky, offered me, I would probably make that happen in a heartbeat.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I would. I loved it. The only thing I didn't like about coaching high school ball is we didn't get to spend enough time on film. We got, like, especially with the lower ones that were just learning how to watch film,
right?
Like some of the freshmen and sophomores, we only got like an hour a week.
Oh no! Oh wow!
And I was like, guys, I got 50 plays from the last game that I got to get through, and I could spend 10 minutes per play. I got 500 minutes of learning to go through here, which is like 9.5 hours, and you're giving me 35 minutes? Are you kidding me?
There's a lot to work here, guys.
No, the bless his heart, the defensive coordinator that really, really let me develop into who I was. I love him for the opportunity he gave me. He couldn't stand watching film with me because I would go back, forth. Once these guys taught me how to watch it, and you're watching frame by frame for my safeties and corners trying to do the right thing. And I'm like, Devontae, your hips aren't flipped right here. James, your hips aren't flipped. And I'm just going through every single thing. And he would come up to me. He's like, Coach, we got 30 minutes and we got 4 quarters to get through here. You need to keep it going. And I was like, we got to go through the whole game. He said, pick 5 plays. I was like, 5? I was like, I can pick 5 terrible plays or 5 good ones. He goes, pick 2 good, 2 bad, something they can improve on. Let's move. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I was like, we got to get through this. They got to know what they did wrong. And he was like, they don't necessarily have to know what they did wrong yet. He said, just, you know what they did wrong, so practice that this week and tell them what to look for. And I was like, you're right, but man, I want to spend like 3 hours on film today. And that was the only thing I didn't like.
There you go, man. There you go.
Also, weightlifting kind of sucked because I don't know how to lift weights, and kids will be like, is this the right technique? And I'm like, I don't know. Don't hurt yourself.
Buddy, if you don't break anything, then you're good to go.
I'd be like, talk to the giant angry guy over there that knows what he's talking about. Like, he scares me. And I'm like, yeah, he's big.
Yeah. Dude.
I don't know. I was like, dude, do I look like I know how to lift weights? No. I was like, I am here because of this, not because of this. Like,
right, exactly.
I show up on the field and I'm dressed like one of those fucking white polar bear looking people from the halftime show. I'm just all puffed up out there. I got notebooks and papers blowing around.
Right.
I look like the nerdy kid that just entered a windstorm with all his books outside. I'd carry backpacks with me with all kinds of notes in it. Right. The coaches are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to show them on paper what they're doing wrong. They're like, you got to stop. Like, you're trying too hard.
Did you do what Patricia used to do, even though I couldn't stand him as a coach? Did you keep a pencil in your ear like this?
Here's the deal. Let me see if I can find it really quick while we're here. But yes, short answer, yes. Let me see if there's a picture of me somewhere. And they used to call me Matt Patricia when I coached.
Are you serious?
That was one of the nicknames.
You know, he interviewed for the Broncos defense. He was like apparently the Patriots offensive coordinator, and now he's going to interview for the Broncos defensive coordinator job. That was one of the worst coaches ever.
Oh my God.
He gave up. I mean, Brady had over 500 yards passing in that Super Bowl, and he still lost. His defense still lost the game.
There's a picture. This isn't the picture I'm talking about, but this is one of them.
Send it to me. But send the one of your dad getting all pissed off over Penei Sewell not being drafted.
There's one when I coached.
Let's see.
I mean,
that's pretty good, man.
The pencil's not in the ear, but
if you can find that pencil, please send it or tweet it out, man.
I'm sure I've got. Oh, there's another good one here.
Let's see.
This is from when we won state.
Let's see.
I don't know if I want to show this. I don't know if all those other coaches want to be shown or not.
All right.
Let me see if I can isolate it to just me.
There you go.
I can't right now.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll send that one to you later. I love all those coaches, and if they don't want to be on here, I don't want to do that to them.
Well, I understand, bud. I understand.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. I walked out with the refs one day trying to
Yeah.
I was like, y'all gonna give us some good calls today? And I walked out the tunnel with them.
Oh, there you go with the long hair, buddy. I like that.
Oh, I had some great hair. Hold on. I'll find another one here. Oh, here's one because I know he won't care. This kid ended up playing football at UC, actually.
All right.
God, this is one of my favorites I ever coached. He's just a good kid. But I had some long hair there. That was at one of our coaches' banquets.
Oh my God, you look like Johnny Damon now.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome, man.
There's some good ones in here from when I coached. But it was that was a good team I was a part of.
Damn, dude, that you fucking named off like, oh my God, like how many good D1 offers did they all get? And not just D1, like top D1 schools.
Well, I know at the moment I have a safety at Alabama.
Right.
I have a kicker at Ohio State.
Right.
I have a running back at Notre Dame.
Right.
I have a quarterback at Navy.
Right.
I have a tight end at UC.
Okay.
Who's probably going to be drafted this year.
Not Wiley?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Wiley.
Yeah, I had Josh.
Rick, dude, if he's there in the 5th round, you take him.
Yeah, the people are asking me to write scouting reports. I was like, I can't write one on Josh. I'm too biased, man.
Okay, I got you.
Josh was one of my favorite people on the planet when we had him.
Let me, before I go, I know so if Mayer's there 28th, the guy you love playing against, you wouldn't take him.
The only thing I wouldn't take him for is that 5th-year option is going to be really, really high for a position group that's already going to be paid a lot of money with T and Jamar.
Well,
that's the only reason why, and there's no money on the books for them, and I could probably get out of it or restructure it. If he's there at 28, I would have a hard time not taking him based on the talent and what he can do.
Well, you look at that Texas kid, Robinson. I forget which Bengals expert said this. Like, man, you watch tape on him. He's like a top 10 talent, but you're literally paying what you'd be paying for Joe Mixon. I would not do that at the first. I don't care how good that running back is.
No, if you draft a running back in the 1st round, you might as well just keep Joe Mixon.
Thank you.
That doesn't really make sense. And financially, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Talent-wise, it makes sense. I guess you're upgrading the position. That's always great.
Right.
But upgrading a position at what cost? You have to think about that. Let me see if I can find his highlights against LaSalle.
All right.
Because that game sucked. That I was like,
You told me he was a headache. You told me he was unfair. That good.
it really was not fair at all.
Could have been a great defensive player too.
Yeah, he could have been a starting linebacker at Notre Dame if he wanted to.
Damn.
I mean, he's just as athletic, if not more athletic, than Logan Wilson. I mean, he moved so smooth.
And you look at the tight ends in Notre Dame: Kyle Rudolph, Tyler Eifert. Am I missing someone? Dude, I'm ready to hit the hay, man.
Let me see if there's. Oh, oh God. Ah! There it is. Oh no. All right, here we go. I'll relive the horror that was Michael Mayer.
All right, let's see this, man.
We were undefeated. We won state that year, so I guess it didn't matter too much.
But that one loss still haunted you.
Oh, it still pisses me off to this day. All right.
Here we go.
And winning a crucial turnover battle. LaSalle picked the ball to start the second half, but Michael Mayer
Oh my God.
back for that with a pick of his own. He rips that ball right out of the air and returns it 29 yards for the pick six. And the Colonels continue with those big defensive plays, forcing 2 turnovers, including this one from senior safety Jack Racebeck in the fourth quarter.
It wasn't fun.
Dude.
He was moving too well for a linebacker.
That dude moved like a deer for his size.
Yeah. I remember being down on the field before the game, and we were like, that's him, huh? Because we'd been hearing about him for the whole year. You start catching wind of some stuff.
Right.
And I was like, that kid's fucking huge. I remember I was on the sideline. He was about 20 feet from me. I was like, this is that Michael Mayer kid, huh? And they're like, yeah, that's baby Gronk. And I was like, that's what we're calling him, huh? I was like, that's some high praise. And then he did that to me, and I was like, I guess so. That looks like Gronk to me.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Well, Santori, man, like I said, I can barely keep my head up, man. I got to hit the hay for tonight, man. But once again, thank you so much, buddy. You take care of yourself. If I don't talk to you anytime soon, I'll see you Monday, bud.
All right, see you, man.
Take care, bro.
It's just me.